Stories never heard before. The man who folded time. Some men build empires. Raghav folded shirts. In a modest lane, where the streets hum with the rhythm of daily life, Raghav ran a small ironing shop. No signboard. No advertisements. Just a wooden bench, a rusted iron, and a man who pressed clothes with the precision of a monk folding prayers. He was 42. Widowed. And raising a son who spoke in colors, not words. Raghav's story wasn't loud. It didn't scream for attention. But it carried the strength that asked for no witness. His wife Mira had passed away 5 years ago. A sudden illness. No warning. One day, she was laughing at a joke he made about burnt rice, and the next day, she was gone. Just gone. Their son, Arun, was 6 then. Diagnosed with autism. He didn't cry when Mira died. He didn't speak. He just sat by the window, drawing spirals with his fingers in the air. Raghav didn't know how to grieve. So he ironed. Each shirt became a meditation. Each crease, a way to smooth the chaos inside him. He began to see patterns in the folds, like time itself could be pressed into order. He stopped talking much. But he started listening. To the hiss of steam. To the silence between footsteps. To the way Arun's fingers moved like wind, tracing invisible maps. One morning, Arun wandered into the shop. He watched his father silently. Then, without a word, he picked up a crumpled handkerchief, and tried to fold it. The folds were uneven, but they held intention. That evening, Raghav wrote a note, and slipped it into a customer's shirt pocket. "You are loved. Even if you don't feel it today." He didn't sign it. He didn't expect anything. But the next day, the customer returned, not for more ironing, but to say thank you. He had been on the edge. That note pulled him back. So, Raghav kept writing. You matter. Your story is not over. Grief is not a failure. He folded shirts. He folded time. And he folded healing into every crease. Soon, word spread. People came, not just for pressed clothes, but for peace. Teenagers. Grandmothers. A man who hadn't spoken to his wife in months. They all came. And they all left with something more than starch and steam. Arun began to mimic his father's movements. He learned to fold. He learned to feel textures. He began to hum, while ironing, a tune only he understood. One day, Arun slipped his own note into a shirt. "I am learning to love the world." Raghav found it later. He cried. Not the kind of cry that breaks you. The kind that rebuilds you. The local school invited Raghav to speak. He wore his best shirt, creased perfectly. He didn't talk about autism. He talked about rhythm. About how healing isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's the quiet miracle of a child folding a shirt. He spoke slowly. Not like a teacher. Like a man who had learned to measure words the way he measured steam, just enough to soften, never to burn. After the talk, a boy named Samir came up to him. He was 14. His father had left. His mother worked nights. He said, "I don't know how to feel safe." Raghav didn't give advice. He gave him a shirt. Folded. With a note inside, "Safety is not a place. It's a rhythm. Find yours." Samir came back every week. He didn't speak much. But he folded. And slowly, his hands stopped trembling. Raghav began to share the rhythm of folding, not as a task, but as a way of cradling what the heart cannot speak. The weight of unsaid words. Each fold became a gesture of care. A quiet method, for making sense of what couldn't be spoken. He called it, the art of quiet repair. One day Arun asked, "Papa, do shirts remember?" Raghav paused. "Yes," he said. "If we fold them, with love." The shop began to gather, more than garments. People arrived, with moments, marked by invisible ache, creases, that spoke of heartbreak, collars, that remembered farewells. Raghav didn't ask for explanations. He understood that some pain travels quietly. He began to notice, how certain shirts trembled in his hands, how a missing button, could feel like a metaphor. So he started a simple ritual. For every garment that felt heavy with memory, he added a thread of gold, along the inner seam. Not visible. Not announced. Just, a gesture. He called it, the line of grace. Those who wore the shirts again, often said they felt lighter, as if something had been acknowledged, without being spoken. He didn't need to read them. He felt them, in the weight of the fabric, in the breath, held before turning away. And sometimes, he would press a shirt with extra care, as if returning, not just a garment, but a piece of someone's healing. One winter evening, a woman named Vibha came in. She had lost her daughter. She hadn't spoken in months. She handed Raghav a baby dress. Wrinkled. Faded. Raghav didn't ask questions. He pressed it gently. Folded it slowly. And placed a note inside, "She is still held in every thread." Vibha wept. Not loudly. But with the kind of tears, that cleanse. Arun watched. Then he folded the dress again. This time with a ribbon. No words. Just, presence. Raghav looked at his son, and saw something, he hadn't seen in years, grace. It wasn't just in the way Arun stood, shoulders relaxed, eyes steady. It was in the silence between them, unspoken, but full. Raghav felt the years collapse inward, like pages folding into each other. The boy, who once screamed at the sky, who once refused to pray, now stood like a lamp, lit from within. Raghav's throat tightened. He wanted to speak, but the words felt too small. So, he reached out, not with speech, but with gesture. His hand, weathered and trembling, found Arun's shoulder. The touch was brief, but it carried the weight of every apology he'd never voiced. Arun didn't flinch. He simply nodded, as if to say, "I know." They sat together, on the worn stone steps of the temple courtyard, the evening light casting long shadows. The priest had gone. The bells had stopped. But the air still hummed, with something sacred. Raghav took out the small copper bowl he'd brought, filled with water from the river. He had meant to offer it alone, as he always did. But now, he held it between them. "Would you like to pour it?" he asked. Arun hesitated, then took the bowl. His fingers brushed Raghav's, and, for a moment, the generational ache softened. Arun walked to the shrine, poured the water, slowly, reverently. Not as ritual, but as remembrance. When he returned, Raghav was wiping his eyes, not with shame, but with release. "I didn't know you still believed," Raghav whispered. "I don't," Arun said. "But I remember. And sometimes, remembering is enough." They stayed, until the stars came out, until the temple lights flickered off, one by one. Nobody else came. Nobody else needed to. As they rose to leave, Raghav looked once more at his son, not as a father measuring a legacy, but as a man, witnessing a soul. Grace, he realized, wasn't something you taught. It was more of something you recognized. And tonight, Raghav had. Raghav had seen what he hadn't in years. He had seen what he had missed throughout. Tonight, he genuinely folded his hands, in gratitude, for what he had just been blessed with. And, as he slept that night, he thought of how life had just changed, for him, and for his little boy. The next day, he once again did what he had for such a long time. He once again ironed and folded shirts. People respected him for what he did. And they chose to call him as the man who not only irons clothes, but also folds time.